how different are we as humans from the watchdogs? Watchdogs are put to action in order to find out the whereabouts of the criminal, because they are blessed with those senses that we call indriya in Sanskrit. Those are the indriya. It has been blessed with that sixth sense, that external ability that is extra in them, that we don't have, that they can smell and find out the whereabouts of the criminal. And what are we blessed with? Because we have been created by the same supreme consciousness, and everything that comes into existence, every jivatma that we call in Sanskrit, every jivatma is blessed and designed with those kind of abilities that are called special abilities that the animals don't have, that we have, and certain abilities that the animals are blessed with and we don't have. So how do we cleanse those senses? Because until and unless you cleanse those senses, and we work consciously on cleansing on those senses, our aura around cannot be cleansed, and we cannot unleash the potentials of those senses, because those senses within us are very, very powerful. It is the aura around us that guides our life. It is the aura around us that blocks those negative energy, that can prevent us from harming ourselves and harming others, because there are certain actions that we do that are involuntary in nature. If you touch a hot substance, automatically you're bound to bounce back. This is the involuntary action. We've studied scientifically. Science is just explaining it, but science has not designed it. And this is the very reason why we have to take the help of spiritual science, because spiritual science is the link between science and that supreme consciousness, that cosmic force, that universal power, the body, mind or soul alienation that we talk about. It is all about the aura, and it is all about the five senses. That is the cosmic intelligence. Cosmic intelligence, what is it, how it functions, and how it controls our life, we have talked about in detail. Now we are going to talk about those senses which have the same kind of intelligence that the cosmic intelligence has, because it has taken the part of the cosmic intelligence that is the macro level cosmic intelligence, and the distribution of tiny parts of that cosmic intelligence is the part of those five senses that we have. And the sixth sense, that is the extra sense, that is the intuition that we are blessed with. We have to work on that intuition power, and in order to generate more and more intuitive power within us, in order to ekatrit, that is accumulation. Ekatrit in Sanskrit is the accumulation of that power. So when you accumulate that power, your concentration level, the IQ level, it rises, and we have better cognition ability. And scientific research has proven that after spiritual practices, when the sadhak, the spiritual seeker, is observed cognition wise, is observed his day-to-day behavior wise, the behavioral changes, the psychological changes, and the bodily changes, it all indicates towards progress, it all indicates towards upgrading. So in order to upgrade yourself, we have to work on that intuitive power. It is connected with those five senses. That watchdog that we talked about, that is just an example. Any living creature that has come into this world, that is a part of the existence, this irrespective of whether it's a plant, animal, regardless of the gender, regardless of its species, any species that has come into existence, that has come under the design of those senses, and those senses have a tendency to overpower and control us. That is where we go wrong. That senses, that when we look at a 1,000 rupee or a 2,000 rupee note, or that is lying on the street, and we feel like picking it up, what is it that stops us and prevents us? It is that urge, we want to pick it up. We know it doesn't belong to us, it is not right, but that craving that you want to pick it up, just the sudden rise from your bed when you wake up from deep sleep and you feel like eating something sweet or some fatty food, you feel that sudden hunger pangs that you get, the midnight hunger pangs, in spite of your stomach being full. Science tells us that it is the dopamine level, it is the dopamine craving. Your sugar level is slightly low when you just wake up, but that is the scientific explanation. Spiritual science tells us that it is the overpowering of the senses. That hunger pang is not the real hunger, it is the mood swing. And when it comes to mood, when it comes to the hunger pangs, that is not real, that your senses are overpowering you. Senses when go out of control, then the senses become our boss, then they begin to rule us. Once you allow your sense to rule you, then you can get into deep troubles and it can do harm to you. Because we have to understand this fact, The science is just explaining it. Science has not designed it. Who has designed the senses? Science has just explained how it has been designed and how it is working. The supreme consciousness who has designed the senses within a watchdog, who has designed the senses within the other species, the same supreme consciousness has designed our senses, and that is to cause us benefit. If we misuse it, if we allow it to overpower us, then we are going to get into deep trouble. That attraction that you feel when you see a beautiful man or a woman, that attraction when you feel when you see some beautiful shop and some things you want to purchase which is beyond the capacity of your affordability, so you cannot afford it. So this is not real. This is a part of that illusion. Our senses are designed to cause us benefit and not to put us into trouble. But we go wrong when we allow the senses to overpower us. That is when we lose our minds and we end up doing certain things. Being able to differentiate between false and true, being able to differentiate between the truth and that false illusion. Illusion and reality are very close by things that go side by side, because it is the material world. We have to exist, and we know that there is that world that is the real world that is controlling the material world, but we are getting carried away by the illusion and we think the material world to be true, and we allow the material world to rule us. The societal standards, the interview standards, the paychecks, the bills that we have to pay, the schoolings, the universities you're passing out from, your target achievements, your dream life partner, your dream city you want to settle in. These are the societal standards and the part of the illusion. We have to win over the material world in order to enjoy a blissful life, in order to enjoy the benefits of the material world. You don't have to leave anything and become a monk who has a spiritual monk is not that thing, not that person, not that entity who has left everything. A spiritual monk is that person, that entity who is enjoying his life, realizing the reality of the material world. Even you and I can do that when we realize that this is how things are working. Be part of the material world, but in spite of being a part of it, overpower it. Don't let the material world overpower it. That is controlling of the senses, and that can be achieved by conscious meditation, that can be achieved by guided meditation, that can be achieved by translating the holy verses, reading the holy verses of different books. How many books you can take out time for, take out those time and read those verses. At least give 15 to 20 minutes a day to different verses, to different spiritual books, and you will get to know how the material world is functioning and how that illusion world is functioning and how our senses is getting consumed by that illusion and overpowering us. Cleanse those senses. Once we cleanse those senses, we can unleash the potential of those senses, because our senses has its own thinking capacity, its own thinking ability, just like the cosmic intelligence. That extra bite of food when you want to take, in spite of knowing that your stomach is full, in spite of knowing that you don't want to eat more, but it is that urge that is saying that the food is very tasty and your stomach is not full, whereas your stomach is completely full. What is overpowering you? That is the hunger pang, that is the desire that is overpowering you. Same holds true in case of sexual desire, in case of the bodily needs, in case of the need to do something which you know in spite of that it is not wrong for you, that it's not good for you. We end up doing the same thing, looking at a particular thing which we know that if we spend, we will waste our money. That is something we don't need in a house, but still, because of the beauty of the thing, attracts you and makes you purchase that thing. The marketing gimmicks, the marketing techniques, whenever we hear that there is this sale, the marketing gimmicks, they study the psychology and set those marketing gimmicks. What are they playing with and what are they encashing? They are simply encashing our five senses. It is not limited to the marketing skills. It comes to education, it comes to the schooling structure, it comes to the formal education, the formal interview, the business, the job that you're doing, any work field. The societal standards has to do with the same marketing gimmicks, the same. They are all encashing and training our senses that we are not cleansing. And once the senses get trained by another human who is an exact equivalent of you, then you are getting into a big trouble, because you are being controlled by your electronic media or some sort of design that is a design of a particular mind, a human mind that is an equivalent of you. So an equivalent of you, how good he can be and how good he can be with your senses, because he is also at the receiving end of the same senses. So he is not some superhuman who is controlling you. So we are allowing some other person to control us. He will do no good to us. It is better to get out of the dependencies and become mindful. Once you become mindful, you will get out of the dependency. Bread 41 days of life-changing course, life-changing experience. No dependency, what the slavery. Finish the dependency, because until and unless you finish the dependency, you get carried away with those urges, with those senses, and allow those senses to overpower you. We will not be able to live a life that is blissful. We will not be able to live a life that we thrive for, that beautiful life that we all want to live. The benefits of the material world we want to achieve, the money, the power, and the blissful life. Money and power is just a part of the blissful life. These are not the main ingredients of the blissful life, because there are many people, in spite of having all the money, they cause severe harm to themselves and they go into depression. If we want to protect ourselves from going into depression, then we have to come out of the illusion world, and only then we will be able to see clearly how the life is going and how the entire life process is guiding us, how it's working us, and how we can coexist with that material world. It's only then we will be able to win over that material world. Bread 41 days of life-changing course, life-changing experience, no dependency, what the slavery. Bread.